So this is called the biggest TikToks pick me, and it is about just pearly things. So I'm curious. It's from Chad. I've only seen the video of her when Sneeko was, basically harassing her. So, this will be my second watch of, well, I guess the second time I'm seeing her. Let's get it going.
Hey guys, and welcome back to
That was a little cringe, but okay.
My name is Chat, and I found another really cool alpha podcast. It's my alpha podcast. Every week, I'm going to blame 100% of my problems on 50% of the population and say a bunch of words that I
actually think that women are 51% of the population. So, gotcha.
Think make me sound smarter, but in reality have as much meaning as the final paragraph in a research paper.
Basically, the more partners a woman has, the less likely she is to have a happy marriage.
That's true. Statistically, that's true. Here's the problem what I have with that. First of all, okay, so I guess I pull the statistic up like every single time I talk about this topic, but I always think that it's something that bears repeating because there are things that some people in the manosphere say. There are a lot of things that the manosphere will say.
Caesar Martinez super chatted $1.99. Papa just failed my app calc test.
Hey, listen, brother. A failure is just another opportunity to succeed, brother. Don't even worry about it. You got to learn to fail. I'm not even kidding. Learning to fail is actually a really important life skill. You're going to fail a lot. And if you beat yourself down every time you fail, you're going to fail in society and in life. You're always going to fail. Overcome it. You'll be okay. Learn to fail. You really need to learn to fail. That's how you become good at things. For real. Anyway, this is true, this statistic or this idea that so women with a lower body count report a happier marriage after like 10 years. That's the blue line. And as you see, this isn't the correct graph. There's a graph. Okay. That's the blue line. And as you see, the more partners they have, generally the lower they report happiness after like 10 years. You see this yellow line? This is men. This is men. And it shows that men report even happier when they have fewer sex partners. That's the part that they don't talk to you about. Because what Pearly Things wants to push the idea that women are the only ones that shouldn't be sleeping around. But men shouldn't be sleeping around either. At least according to this statistic, right? Now, there's a few things that are factored out, like where these people live and stuff like that can have a big, profound impact on it. But either way, understand that they're not the manosphere. They don't apply these things equally to men and women. They apply it to women while also advocating for men to have as many sexual partners as they want. I've seen Just Pearly Things talk about how men should be able to run around and spread their seed. Personally, the way that I've always dated, the way that I think that you should also date as well, or you date how you want, but the way I've always dated was I would date multiple people at once. And I would always date them with the intention of potentially being with them in a long-term capacity. I would date them for up to 3 months. And if it stuck for 3 months, I would go into a more serious relationship. You don't have to sleep with those people just because you're dating them. I would, But that's how I dated, right? I always kind of dated dated and slept around to find a partner, see who I was physically and sexually compatible with. Wear condoms. That's always a good idea. You probably shouldn't be sleeping with multiple people at once, but make sure you're safe and make sure that your partner knows if you're dating other people too, so that they know if they're getting their wick dipped in by somebody a little dirty, But that's that's my advice. But either way, understand that they're not applying this advice equally intentionally. Because the manosphere tends to value women exclusively for their body and their body count and not for anything else, unfortunately. Even though women can be incredibly valuable. They could also be valueless, but anybody can be. I'm gonna do it again. My wife, behavioral specialist, very intelligent, she's just got her license in LMSW or whatever. Licensed Master's Social Work. Really proud of her for that. Everybody clap. Very intelligent woman. Half the reason why I'm as successful as I am. Big deal. People in a marriage should be able to support another person and make that other person better, while that person that they're making better makes them better too. That's the whole point of a relationship.
And so I think that's why historically we've always protected women and tell them to not be outside of marriage, because the bond is so strong for women because we release a hormone during that men don't.
So okay, two things there. There's two things. There's this is why men want women that don't have a lot of bodies, and second to the I think it's, I forget the what it is, but there's a hormone release for women. It's a bonding hormone during sex. The first thing, I think, listen, when I had very few sex partners, the first thing I remember is I wanted to sleep with a virgin because I was embarrassed about my sex. That was it. Maybe that's just for me, but I feel like a lot of men are projecting their sexual insecurities onto women by saying, I want a woman with low body count because I don't want to, I'm afraid of performing poorly. It's okay. We've all been there. But, like, you know, when you get better at sex, I would never sleep with a virgin now. Well, I'm married, but if I wasn't, I'd never sleep with one because I don't want to have bad sex, and virgins will be bad at sex. Number two, to the hormone released that women, okay. Bonding hormone, I forget what it's called. The bonding hormone that women released in pregnancy is called oxytocin. Men release this as well. It's shown that there's an increased amount of this in a man's system after they ejaculate as well. It's a bonding hormone. Women do produce it like much more than men, though. That's it. Which is why I think a big reason why women tend to be more emotional than men when it comes to sex, right? So that part is true. But again, men still do release it.
Conclusion, do not engage in the dirty and squirty. A study found that 169% of women that did the dirty and squirty before wedlock were 420% more sad, mostly because during the act, women secrete hormones, glue that bonds them to their partner. It is a huge mess, so ladies, stop being such sluts. I'm just kidding. I don't have a podcast yet, but this person does. And this time it's a little different because the alpha in question is a woman.
What are your thoughts on Andrew Tate?
I think he speaks a lot of truth, and a lot of women don't want to hear it. Oh, if you sleep around, that is not attractive to guys. They don't want you.
No, but it's not attractive to women either. Women don't like man whores, just like as men don't like women whores. Women just put up with it more, I guess, you know?
To know that, like, you age out of the dating marketplace.
So we have friendly fire. There's some espionage. It's kind of a Benedict Arnold situation. Guys, is it just me?
Aging out of the, yeah, I guess so. Women age out of the marketplace. I think men and women age out of the marketplace. Men can make more money that might make them more valuable, but generally speaking, like, the older a person gets, the less valuable they're going to be seen in a dating market. Like men and women like younger women, women like older women. They tend to be within an age range, 5 years-ish. There's another statistic that Pearl takes out of context. We might get into it later if she brings it up. So anybody can age out of the marketplace. Women might just age out of it a little sooner, I guess, out of the sexual marketplace, potentially. You know what I mean? Because older men usually date younger women. So, like, you know, maybe a woman will age out of the marketplace at 30. A man might do it at 35. I guess, you know.
Me? Or are the British kind of slaying right now? You're right, they're slaughtering us out there. No, I mean, they're killing it. Yes, we've lost half our men. I'm gonna switch teams. Wait, are you betraying us? Losing a war is so beta. I've been shot 5 times. I'm not gonna be on the same side as a bunch of soy boys. I've seen a bunch of stitches to her videos this past week, but had a lot of trouble finding her TikTok because apparently they keep deleting it.
Yeah, she got banned. She told me that. She won't talk to me anymore, though. I think she saw some of the videos I made about her. So I was a little mean, but, you know, I said she was an attractive woman, but the way that she talks about women is bad. I don't know.
They banned account number 3, but you can't get rid of me, baby. You can't get rid of me, baby. Account number 4. Account number 4.
But her YouTube is still up, and she goes by JustPearlyThings, which is kind of a weird contradiction. Imagine you're strolling on the beach with the waves crashing gently. You find a clam and you pry it open to find a beautiful, sparkling pearl. And then it starts spewing misogyny at you.
You would look so much better if you smiled more. Don't be such a beach.
The reason that I think feminism is a hate group is because oftentimes the things that they advocate for are at the cost of men.
I saw a lot of people this week.
So the first thing I'd say is so far we haven't actually engaged with anything Just Pearly Things said from this content creator, but I'm sure they'll get into it. So here's the thing. When it comes to feminists is a hate group because they okay, let me listen to that again.
Oftentimes the things that they advocate for are at the cost of men.
See, here's the thing. There is some feminism that's very annoying and just hate men. That's absolutely true. That part is absolutely true. But I would say that, like, there's a difference between something being at the cost of men versus something being negative towards men. I know that sounds weird. For instance, let's say feminism advocates, well, it does do this. Feminism advocates for women being able to make an equal amount of money to men, right? We know the wage gap isn't 80%, it's 98% after you factor in a bunch of stuff, but that doesn't matter. Historically, let's say that. So they're advocating for women to make as much as men, right? Maybe that would have a negative impact on men because it's putting more women in a male space and it's competing with men. But that's not hurting men necessarily, that's equalizing. Whereas maybe some kind of feminism advocates that men should cut their balls off and die. Of course, that's that hurts men actively. I just don't know exactly what real feminism, not the bullshit TikTok feminism that hates men, is actually doing at the cost of men or hurting men. That's the question. Like, I need an example of what she's talking about. Maybe if you guys have something in the chat, you could tell me what's something that feminism advocates for that would actively hurt men in a way that's like unequal to men. I would love to respond to it. I'm not sure if I have any examples, but be my guest and like talk about it, bring it up. Okay.
I saw a lot of people this week labeling her as a pick-me.
And to everyone calling me a pick-me, I'd rather be a pick-me than a skip-me. So yeah. If you want to call me a pick-me, call me a pick-me. Bye.
Which, if you don't know what that means, it's basically a woman who tries to separate herself and make it clear that she's not like other girls. Because other girls suck.
I'm not like other girls.
Wear short skirts, I wear t-shirts. And then they say mean things to me, like you can't only wear t-shirts and your genitals are showing. Like, what? If you'll look at these titles, most of them reference modern women a lot and in a negative way. Because as we all know, modern women want rights and stuff, and that's bad. Modern women blame everyone but themselves. Modern women cannot be helped. These women put men in jeopardy. Just come with me right over here.
Where are you taking me?
In jeopardy.
What is jeopardy?
Correct. The only women we like are old-fashioned ones that don't show their ankles and churn butter. She wears long skirts. I wear long skirts because it's 1775. T-shirts haven't been invented yet, and neither has today's sponsor. This video is sponsored by Raycon.
All right, sponsored by Raycon. All right.
/ChadChad for 15% off of your Raycon purchase. Thank you to Raycon for sponsoring today, and let's get back to the video. In all of our other alpha podcasts, there's usually one who does all the talking, and then there's the other guy who's mostly there to just agree with everything the other one says. You know, like
It's like fresh and fit, yeah.
like a true alpha.
Yeah.
Pearl is kind of different because she's the one who mediates this podcast, but she still manages to be a yes person somehow.
Whether a boy or girl, it's 100% your responsibility what happens in your life.
I think it's more on the girl because we have more power.
Incredible.
Right.
We have more power than men do in every instance.
What? I mean, listen, there's areas that I'm sure women have more power than men in like some kind of a dynamic for sure, but like they have more power overall. It's just not true. It's like silly, right? Okay. I don't think anybody like reasonably believes women have more power than men in general. Men tend to be the ones that are working, so they usually have more financial power for sure. I would say men tend to have more power than women, but to say that women have, what power do women have over a man? I guess false accusations. On the internet, that works really well. You could cancel somebody with a false accusation. But in the real world, most police are just like, silly goose. So what are we talking about? What's going on? Is it Linda with the Y? How you doing? But okay. I just...
But it doesn't... But no. Okay.
That's terrible.
No, sorry, you're right, actually. You're correct.
Maybe because women have sexual selection over men? But then men, because more men want to be, dicking around. But then men have relationship selection over women. At least that's my experience. Like a woman gets to decide who has sex, but a man decides when you're in a relationship. So I feel like, they're different power, different balances in different ways. But okay.
Correct, you're correct.
She'll say something and then look around waiting for everyone else to agree and encourage her to go on.
It's like a handshake. And that's what I mean.
Kind of like a
handshake.
Round.
and
Men cheating versus women cheating. Oh, she's saying that men cheating is like a handshake. Okay.
That's what I mean.
Kind of like a child who forgot their lines at a Christmas play. And on that night,
like I've talked about this before, when it comes to men versus women cheating, generally speaking, when we talked about like the oxytocin release, like women tend to be a little bit more emotional with their sexual partner. So as a man, Yeah, I would look at another woman cheating on a man as a bigger red flag as they want the relationship to end than a man. Like a man might just sleep around to do something physical, whereas a woman might be more likely to look for another relationship. But that nuance isn't something that they're talking about, because either way, it's bad. You're still disrespecting your partner, and you're like deeply hurting them in like a really profound way. So it doesn't matter the differences. You could talk about them in a nuanced setting. You could say, you know what, I think if a man cheats, he should deserve a second chance from his partner or whatever. But then extend that courtesy to women who are just physically cheating too, right? Because not all women are going to produce that oxytocin at the same degree, and some of them can have this disconnected sex. But either way, they're not saying it as like a nuanced conversation to have about men making mistakes and needing to get their shit together. They're saying it in a way where men should be able to cheat on women and women should just put up with it. That's just disrespecting yourself. There's no nuance there. They're just saying that to be just so that women should basically be put in a situation where they just put up with disrespect. That's fundamentally what they're saying when they're talking about this.
There were
3 wise men.
There were 3 wise men. And then Mary gave birth to baby Jesus.
It's a violation of the boundary. It's a shitty thing to do.
Yes, go on.
And because Mary got pregnant out of wedlock,
You're doing great.
And also, keep in mind, too, cheating is different from, like, a relationship boundary. Like, if somebody's like, yeah, you can do this or that, whatever, but they're advocating for specifically cheating. Cheating isn't when somebody knows that a thing is happening. Cheating is just, like, violating the boundary of an established boundary in a relationship. You know what I'm saying? So, again, cheating is even worse. It's not like you're like, yeah, maybe we could both be open or something. That's fine, whatever. Something like that. That's not what this is.
she has 0 societal value because men don't want females with a body count. I'm so proud of you.
We do need men, though. We do.
We don't need them.
We do.
Sure, men need women, women need men.
Who do you call to get your car fixed? A man or a woman?
A mechanic. It doesn't matter. That's not, what? Okay.
So I fix my own car.
Only men can be mechanics, everyone. Sorry.
Men tend to want to be mechanics, but when we're talking about men needing women, I wouldn't look at it from that perspective, but okay, I guess.
Just do a woman job, like read from iPad or be named after slimy thing a mollusk makes.
I can do.
Okay,
I'm motor mechanics.
Your power supply. Who runs it? Who runs the infrastructure of society? Men or women?
So essentially,
Men tend to run more infrastructure, and then women tend to be a little bit more, I guess, like run the empathetic side of society. This is always like a thing that I talk about, is when it comes to like how we value men versus women. Like if you look at it in a lot of the infrastructure aspects, men tend to be like infrastructure oriented, like architectures and all that other cool stuff, bricklayers and computer scientists and whatnot. Women can do these things, by the way, and with the advent of technology, trimming the gap between like physical strength between men and women because we have machines, you're going to see more women in these fields. Either way, the thing is that we still need women. Women still provide a lot for us. Like women are disproportionately like nurses, right? Nurses, caregiving positions. These are very powerful and impactful, but we don't really look at it as such because it's not something as tangible as somebody who can build a building, But when you go to the hospital, and if you're not old, if you're not an older person, you might not understand this as much. But like, if you go to the hospital, let's say you have like a heart attack and you go to the hospital, the first person you're probably going to see is a group of women. And that's right off the bat gonna be it's gonna be the make or break between whether you're gonna have a good time or a bad time in that fucking hospital. If your nurse is like really nice to you, and they're like they make you feel better, you're going to actually feel better and have a higher outcome of success in the hospital because you'll be less depressed, you'll feel a little bit more confident, you'll feel a little bit more assured, you'll feel like they're being attentive to your needs. It's very powerful. And the infrastructure that is so money focused, because I'm a capitalist, but like I'm more of somebody who doesn't think we should be fucking fist fucking people in the ass when it comes to money. If we had more nurses, you'd have a better experience in the hospital. The infrastructure would flow a little bit better, right? All I'm saying is like this caregiving aspect role that women tend to gravitate towards is still profoundly impactful. When you leave your kids at a daycare, who's it usually going to be? Women. You're leaving people. Women do this. This is where women gravitate more towards caretaking. Women are taking care of your kids. So why wouldn't you value that? I never understood this fundamental aspect here of like the relationship dynamic of man going to work, woman staying home, taking care of the house and the kids. These two things are different, but they're like an equal thing. You should equally respect each other for these different things that you're providing, right? But for some reason, men who make money, or at least in the manosphere that believe men make the money so that they should have full control, why don't you value the role of somebody taking care of your kids? Like, that's so powerful. Yeah, I make all the money, but my stupid wife just stays home, takes care of the kids, cooks for me, cleans for me, takes care of the house, and all this other stuff. Why isn't that something that you consider as an equal? They take care of your children, the children that are going to grow up to be productive members of society. They're going to have more contact with your children, with the people that you helped create. You should value them more. This is when it comes down to how we perceive the value of men versus women in society, and how we tend to look at the contributions from men as better than women, whereas I think that they're just different. You know, that's what I would say.
What she's saying is that we need the patriarchy because the patriarchy said we need the patriarchy, guys. And I mean, look at him. He seems trustworthy.
Put the rights in the bag.
He does seem trustworthy until then. Okay, so listen,
guys. And I mean, look at him.
He's very trustworthy here, but then watch what happens.
He seems trustworthy.
Put the rights in the bag.
Who runs the?
Oh god, a black guy with a gun. I'm just kidding. That was a joke meant to call out systemic racism and how we perceive white guys with guns as less threatening than black guys with guns. And that's the greater problem. And the joke is also that they filtered it to black and white. That was the joke. I got to explicitly explain that.
Who runs the infrastructure of society, men or women?
We know who's in charge of more things and who has been historically. That's kind of the problem. Just because you're named after the byproduct of an oyster doesn't mean you have to have the same thought process as one. Pearl initially blew up because of this TikTok, which I'm going to put a big old warning and timestamp over.
Fatphobia. Oh my goodness. Listen, I know fatphobia exists, but I hate trigger warnings.
Because if you don't want to watch this garbage, I don't blame you.
Name one girl that looks good at 300 pounds. Name
I don't
one.
know what 300 pounds is.
Do you think you want to keep them fat so you don't have to compete with them?
My biggest criticism with a lot of people who talk about people that are overweight is this one. This is going to be the biggest criticism. And I already talked specifically about this video, and you can go find that. My biggest criticism for people who effectively bully fat people are that they never, and I know in this video because I watched it, provide an actual legitimate solution for fat people to lose weight. We know that fat's bad. Fat people know that being fat's bad. But I never hear them go like, yeah, you know, it's not good to be over. Because she's not saying that like, hey, being overweight is going to make it more difficult for you to find a partner. That's true. She's saying fat women are disgusting. That's effectively what she says. And that they don't deserve like a man that makes six figures. Well, you know, fortunately for you, I make six figures, and my wife's married to me, so I guess she deserves a man that makes six figures. But more than that, it's that they don't provide the solution. And I always talk about it. Listen, if you're overweight, you're probably, to the degree that I am, you're probably eating so much. You have bad eating habits. You have unhealthy habits. You need to take steps towards not doing that anymore. One of those steps is going to be you have to try not to, stress eat, because that's a big problem. I think a lot of people who are overweight like me, they stress eat and they also eat when they're happy. Like just like Fat Bastard says, eat when you're unhappy and you're unhappy because you eat, right? You need to make long-term positive goals. Right now, my wife and I the first goal we're doing is we're going to be walking every day for 30 minutes. And we're going to do that for 3 weeks. We want to just get that in there because it takes 3 weeks to set a habit. We want to just do that. That's good for your heart health. Fuck losing weight. It was more about just being healthy, and that's good for your cardiovascular health. If we can do that for 3 weeks, we'll do that forever. That's our first change that we want to make. Then after that, we might start implementing some weight training into there. Start using some of that fucking equipment I have outside, right? Then we're going to start soon implementing, having I know this sounds like a little thing, but just like serving of vegetables for dinner. I know that sounds small, but you get some nutrients in there. It fills you up because there's fiber. These are like the small steps that you want to take. Water instead of soda, even if it's diet soda, right? These are the things that we are trying to change. Small things. No, losing weight is not the most important. Getting healthy is more important. This is another issue I have with people. They're usually skinny people. You don't understand health or anything. Being fat is a symptom of unhealthy eating. There are fat, healthy people. I know that you don't want to believe this, but there are people who are fat and healthy. It exists. I always talk about this. The healthiest I ever was 330 when I was training for strongman. All my numbers were in line. Everything was perfect. I was pre-diabetic until I got my shit together, and then I was no longer pre-diabetic. You can be fat and healthy. The goal is to be healthy. Being obese is a byproduct of usually unhealthy eating habits and not exercising enough, right? The number one goal is to move for your heart health and eat better for your body health. Your weight is generally irrelevant. It is going to be relevant because you can't really be my size probably and healthy, but it's not going to be super relevant. It's more relevant having the habits because obesity is a byproduct. If you're going to the doctor and you're overweight, but you're walking and eating healthy every day, and your and you have no problems with your blood sugar, your blood pressure, or your cholesterol, you're good. You can be fat and healthy. And I think that a lot of you guys refuse to think that. But you can be fat and healthy. It's harder, though. And when you see models, when you see overweight models that are overweight, they're most likely healthy. Because even overweight like models still have to like be a little bit toned for them to their body to look good, but they're not telling you that, and that's a bigger issue. Is like if these overweight models are like, yeah, I work out a half hour every single day to keep in shape, and I make sure I eat healthy. That would be great, but they don't say that, and that's one of those like kind of problems, right? But you can be overweight and healthy. I need you to understand that. That's something that, and when you tell a fat person, because this is the thing, I look at this from a fat person perspective. When you tell a fat person you need to lose weight, that's their primary goal. That's all they're going to do is crash diet, and they're going to fail after 2 months. If you tell a fat person, hey, you should try to get some healthier habits going on there, start small, go for a walk every day, that's going to be longevity. That's what matters more than anything else, right? Understand that I'm talking to fat people when I talk about fat people. I'm not talking to skinny people when I'm talking about fat people. Because as a fat person, you know, you have different struggles in your life. You know what I'm saying? And I understand that it's changeable, but I'm looking for that change. And that comes into the conversation about like fat positivity and like loving yourself, because we watched Abba and Preach for it. They're like, yeah, you shouldn't love it. Being fat's disgusting. They didn't say those exact words, but they said something along the lines of like being fat, you shouldn't love that. Nobody loves being fat, but you should love yourself even if you're fat, because a positive mental health attitude, confidence, that's what loving yourself at any size is about. Confidence. When you have the confidence to love your body even when you're overweight, you'll have the confidence to go to the gym. As a fat person, going to the gym sucks because you feel like everybody's staring at you. Sometimes they are. Most of the time, they may not be. But it feels like they are. So if you have the confidence because you think that you're worth it and you're valuable, you're more likely to go to the gym. You need a long-term, because once you stop caring, once you hate yourself, you don't care anymore, and you just get fatter because you don't give a fuck anymore. All right? So the cope is either you don't care and you get fatter, or you cope by, you know, being a little overconfident. It's better than anything else. That's what it's about. People don't understand it. That's what this stuff is about. Loving your body at any size isn't about thinking that being fat is awesome. It's about loving yourself so that you can make changes. Because if you love your body, you won't want it to die with 2 medium-sized, 2-topping pizza, Domino's pizzas. Okay? That's what it's about. That's what it's about. Okay? That's what it's about.
Ooh. Lucky for you, there's a lot of girls plumping themselves up right now. I'm motivating them to get on the treadmill. Look at it.
If you love someone, you...
But you're not motivated. See, that's the thing, is that she's concern trolling. She's not motivating anybody to get on the treadmill.
Right now, I'm motivating them to get on the treadmill.
That's a cope. That's what a lot of skinny people will say to fat people, to be like, I'm motivating you to do this. The problem is that if you watch Pearl enough, and I do, her mother bullied the fuck out of her for her weight. And at one point, she actually lost weight. Some people can respond well to bullying. Personally, I wouldn't bully my kid about their weight because it sets them up to be like Pearl, who hates themselves. I don't want my kid to hate themselves. I want my kid to love themselves, even if they're fat. But this way, they don't want, you know, but they'll love themselves enough to lose the weight instead of to, I don't know, do that. This is not a healthy person, not mentally. Yeah. So hold on. Somebody asked me a question in the chat. It was a good question. Papa, how do you encourage someone to lose weight? A friend of mine was told by a doctor that he has like 10 years left ahead of him if he doesn't get in shape, but he just isn't motivated to change. That's hard, man. I'm not. This is first and foremost like as a friend, I can understand your concern and wanted to change that. I don't know them. You know what I mean? Like all you could really, I don't know, have them watch this video once I put it on my Papaga leftovers channel. How about that? I don't know. It's hard for a fat person to give a shit about what a skinny person says. You know what I mean? So maybe that'll help. I don't know them enough though. You know.
Oh, look at it.
If you love someone, you tell them the truth.
So not only is she an adult,
Right there. By the way, that line is contradictory to what Pearl is doing. I want you to hear this.
Treadmill. Look at it.
If you love someone, you tell them the truth.
If you love somebody, you tell them the truth. What that communicates is that the only people that should be coaching a fat person on their diet, like specifically, are people in their circle. Some fucking stranger on the street, because this is what Pearl's doing. She's just making fun of strangers, fat women she doesn't even know. That's not productive. Okay. That's different from if you love somebody, tell them the truth. Yeah, if you love somebody personally, yeah, you'll be like, hey, and you figure out the way to tell them the right way.
so not only is she an adult iPad kid, she's also a fat-phobic adult iPad kid.
I'm going to be talking about Whale Attack Part 2 for talking about whales. And you're still a whale.
Hey, if there's a whale attack, call me Moby Dick. Am I right, baby? Because I'm going to harpoon those bitches. All right, a little inappropriate, sorry.
Like, I can't.
She refers to plus-size people as whales
I use food to socialize, an excuse to go out, but I'm starting to wrangle it farther this way. Yeah, you know what? What I started to do when I go out to eat sometimes is like I'll ask them for broccoli instead of French fries if I get a meal.
multiple times on her account because she just cannot stop thinking about the ocean. It's ingrained in her gastropod brain. She hasn't had a Krabby Patty in years, guys. Cut her some slack. She's homesick.
I said, name one girl that looks good at 300 pounds.
She uploaded a 10-minute.
I think the funnier part was when JustPearlyThings compared herself to Lizzo and said, like, who do you think people want to be with more? And like, you set yourself up for failure there, girl. 100% of people would prefer Lizzo over you. I'm just saying. Or at least 90% of people. Lizzo's hot. Lizzo, the reason, because Lizzo, what makes Lizzo so attractive is she's physically not bad looking, but she's a confident fat woman. And like confidence is something that's considered very sexy. When you look at Pearl, there's no real confidence there. So like it's hard to be with a woman who's not confident in themselves.
It responds to everyone being reasonably upset with her. And does anyone want to guess what her defense of this clip was? You're not going to get it. It's totally original for an alpha podcast. We've never heard anyone say this before.
On TikTok, a clip was taken of me. It was a bit out of context. You know, sometimes maybe I make fun of them a little too hard.
It wasn't. I watched the full thing.
Oh, it's out of context. Okay, I was about to be upset and act like words have meaning or something. Hey, Alice, can I ask you something? Hey, you are so stupid and ugly. What the hell? That was literally out of context. Calm down. Okay, never mind. I think you're a stinky piece of garbage and I hope Josh leaves you at the altar.
Wow.
Is this still out of context? Or? Obviously, yes. What were you gonna ask me? Do you want to be my maid of honor? Oh my god. Yes, I would love to. This is so great. She's also drinking about 14 drinks during this video and keeps pausing to take sips. I guess she's dehydrated from being so salty all the time.
I don't really mind being made fun of. I feel like it's part of the game. I feel like okay.
I don't know if they're supposed to make this seem like more of a casual little vlog, but it's not translating that way. I know you're all insulting me because I insulted you first, but I could not care less. Obviously, she has low self-esteem and internalized a lot of it.
Yeah, she mentions that in that video. Actually, I hope you bring that up. She mentions it at the end of that video about how her mom was kind of like a dick to her when she was growing up about being fat.
Psychologically, she is constipated, but so is everyone else, okay? We're all constipated in our hearts. Just go to therapy or take a or go to therapy while you're taking a shit. And how does that make you feel? Shitty.
Like, I think if a woman cheats, she's trying to leave you. If a man cheats,
Yes.
he's just like, it's like a handshake.
So this is the problem. Like I just talked about this before. I generally can feel the same way. This is going to be independent by independent. Like there are different men and women, but generally speaking, sure, if a woman cheats, I think that she's probably looking to move on. Whereas if a guy cheats, I would never call it a handshake. It's still a deep violation of like a relationship contract, and it's incredibly harmful and upsetting to the other person you're dating. And this is one of those problems. Is it's not a nuanced conversation about the different way that men and women interpret relationships. It's not a nuanced conversation about the different way that men and women interpret relationships. Well, sorry. I don't know if I said it right the first time. It's just a way to justify men cheating. It's not that small. And it's really fucks up your partner. Like and this is what I'm talking about. It's an excuse for men to cheat, whereas nobody should be cheating. If you just go ask your partner to be in an open relationship if you want to fuck around. And if they say no, then leave them if you want to fuck other people. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't cheat. Like, it's one of those things where it's not about the nuanced conversation. It's taking what I would consider a fact of the way that men and women generally view relationships and have different encounters with relationships, and using it to justify shitty ideology that centralizes around men disrespecting women. A man, it's fine. It's fine and understandable to date a guy for years and to give him a second chance if he cheats. I understand that. But to allow him to cheat without setting any boundaries is going to cause that man to not respect you. She's advocating for a relationship where men are not going to respect women. And you don't want to be in that relationship. You don't want to be in that relationship. What the fuck?
Why is the exposure turned all the way up in these clips? We need to get their editor over to the House of Dragons team. We can't see. We must insist you turn the brightness up.
You can absolutely sleep with a woman who you may find very attractive and very sexy and everything else, but your heart is still completely with another woman.
I'll explain to you like this.
Hey, I wonder
But you shouldn't do that.
if this guy has ever cheated on a partner before. Do you think he's cheated on a partner before? Because I don't think he has. Your Honor, really, when you think about it, as a man, I am biologically prone to setting that building on fire. Now, if I were a woman, then this would be arson, yes. But when I do it, it's just like lighting birthday candles.
That's actually kind of an argument, because I think that there are people who are biologically tuned to, like, that's actually a pretty decent argument, because there are, like, sociopaths. People who are, like, biologically attuned to not care about other people. I don't know if that's a sociopath. But, like, the argument that men should be able to cheat because it's biologically attuned is the same argument as if I was like, well, I should be able to murder because I don't care about people. I'm a sociopath, you know what I mean? You know, it's just like, it's a shitty argument. And again, it doesn't focus on how women feel after being cheated on. Or your other partner. Because it might be another woman or a man. It doesn't matter.
I think women are just more emotional.
Yeah.
True, yes.
Like,
Incorrect. Women are not more emotional. I hate this argument. Women express their emotions differently from men. I don't like this idea that angry men aren't emotional men. Yeah, in my experience, men tend to be more angry in their emotional expression, whereas women might be like, they cry. It's a different type of emotion, but it's still an emotion, and it's still not good when you don't have your emotions in check. I would say women are more empathetic. Yeah, have you ever loved? You guys are so stupid. Have you ever loved? But it's what's the point of what she's saying here? That's the real question.
like, you know, women are more likely to wage war.
What?
To do what? To do what?
To wage war.
How are there statistics?
Listen, I've never heard this statistic of women being more likely to wage war. I don't think that that's true. Men are more territorial. And they acknowledge that in the manosphere. That's like one of the biggest acknowledgments, is that men are very territorial. Men, I would say, are more likely to wage war because we're more territorial. Right? Why would women be more likely to wage war? Maybe they're more likely to bicker. I don't know. But more likely to wage war? Maybe. But what is that based on? I don't know.
Statistics for things that haven't happened, Pearl. You can't just be like, well, I know this technically hasn't happened, but if it did.
Well, where is this statistic coming from? I'm not understanding. Why are men perfect according to this worldview? It's a little weird.
This is definitively how it would.
Like, percentage-wise. Like, I know more men have because more men have been in power, but women are actually more likely to do it when they're in power.
What percentages? You can't just scientifically back a hypothetical. Let's take your theory and apply it to this diagram here. So first, identify the problem, women, obviously. Number 2, collect data. This one's a little difficult because you don't fucking have any. And 3, create a hypothesis. So, do women start wars? Have women worn wars? Then will women wear wars?
Like, I feel like a lot of problems would be solved if we got rid of birth control and social media.
What do you think is the biggest challenge for women?
Probably social media is pretty toxic for people, but I mean, it's also a good thing because that's how I make a living.
I mean, when it comes to social media and what they see on a daily basis.
I think it inflates like women's ego.
Yeah, that's a dumb thing to say. Listen, social media. Okay, let's talk about this. Social media is constantly showing you other people and it's showing you the best versions of their lives, and it sets you up for unrealistic standards. It's constantly hitting your dopamine receptors every time you get some likes and views, right? I don't know that it's boosting women's egos when the only thing women are seeing on social media are other women that are societally more beautiful and perfect from a societal perspective. That'll ravish a woman's ego. Are you kidding me? There might be areas where a girl can post a nice pic of themselves and get some likes and views, but that's a very small percentage of women who are doing that. For the most part, most people that have like Instagram are sending each other memes, okay? Or looking at other women that are perceived to be more beautiful. That's destroying their mental health, probably worse than men, okay? That's ridiculous. Now on Tinder, you might be able to make an argument. Women, from the statistic I watched a while ago, there was like a 40% of people who use Tinder do it just for an ego boost. And I imagine that's probably women more than anything else, because men are on Tinder to fuck. So they'll go a little bit below what they might be able to pull from a dating perspective to fuck. And that might inflate some women's egos. But do you understand? Again, there's no critical thought in anything that Pearl is saying. This is just, I feel a way about something, and I'm going to take information and I'm going to just reinforce it, even if it doesn't match my worldview. This is something that she consistently does.
So, like, I think a lot of times we think we're hotter than we are.
I don't know if they don't have Wi-Fi in Bikini Bottom, but this is famously the opposite effect of social media. Are you saying that you scroll through Instagram just thinking to yourself, you know, I was feeling pretty self-conscious, but now that I've seen all of these unattainable beauty standards, I'm feeling a lot better?
I think it inflates like women's ego.
No matter what they're saying, they use this same sad piano track in the background.
I was about to say, was that the song? Did Pearl actually use that song? Like, could you think about this? You think about this. Just think about this.
No matter what.
Like, listen to this.
Beauty standards, I'm feeling a lot better.
I think it inflates like women's ego.
So imagine making okay. So first of all, imagine having a Manosphere podcast. Wow. Second of all, imagine making your Manosphere podcast, then intentionally setting yourself up for a clippable moment. This is what's happening, fellas. I'm gonna be real with you. I used to do it too. When I had TikTok, I would post some clips that would get like millions of views. And I would be like, oh, I'm ready for a clippable moment. Right? And mine were just jokes about like, you know, whatever. But that's what you still do it. I don't do it anymore, but that's what they're doing. So she has a Manosphere podcast. She has somebody ask her a question on her podcast. Then she sets it up for that clippable moment, and then she makes the clippable moment with the understanding that she's going to put a sad soundtrack underneath it to emotionally invoke 14-year-old boys or young men who are struggling in life dealing with men's issues, which are real, and we've talked about them before, right? Issues like there's a lack of, like, jobs are paying less, and there's fewer jobs because of technology that displaces jobs, drives down wages. And men are the ones that are more expected to work and provide, which is why you see more women in like women's shelters and more homeless men, right? And that's more of an issue with the way our system is set up, not really a man's issue specifically, it is a men's issue, but it's more about like how poorly our system is set up, right? But either way, and they're like, see, she's speaking facts, because you don't know why you're upset. You just know that you're getting stepped on by society. And when I say society, I mean fucking rich people, by the way. Hate the correct people. But that's what she's doing. That's in her mind the whole time. That's weird. That's sad. That's what's happening, bro.
No matter what they're saying, they use this same sad piano track in the background of every YouTube short.
I think that modern women are impacted and influenced.
And they don't even pay for it. You can hear the watermark playing over and over and over.
It's influenced.
You guys can
Is that really?
afford 21,000 microphones, but not a single copyright-free track. Women can camouflage their entire bodies like chameleons, and they communicate with satellite dishes that pop out of their... And if you don't believe
I knew that.
me, I'm going to repeat the same thing, but with Piano Sonata number 9 in F major. Women can camouflage their entire bodies.
The modern woman is a walking contradiction. Generally narcissists, and they are the first women in, I think, probably most of history that they tend to destroy what they love.
I don't understand that. Who the fuck are you dating? I've dated shitty women before, and I'm sure some women I've dated thought I was a shitty man. We're all, none of us are, we don't, the greatest part about being shitty is you don't realize you're doing it. But like, who the fuck are you dating that you think that like all women are you're dating children, legal adults, but children. This is what happens when you have an ideology that centralizes around 30 and 40-year-old men dating 18 to 20-year-old girls. You could do it. It's legal. Be my guest. But motherfucker, you don't have anything in common with them, and they are in the beginning stages of their adult development. They are not established in shit. Oh, they're so narcissistic. Yeah, they're 18, fuckface. Date a woman that's like 5 years younger than you, and you'll be like, oh, she's a mature adult that has goals. But you're dating, and they're going around and fucking girls in the clubs. You're dating fucking baby adults. You're dating legal-age adults that are just learning how to be adults. And then you're surprised when they're narcissistic. Yeah, they just left mommy's house. Of course they're fucking narcissistic. The same thing for fucking boys. What do you think? Especially since we have a generation of fucking fatherless children, women running around looking for fucking daddies, and men running around getting treated by their mommies better than fucking a normal relationship. And they're like, why won't you be my new mommy? We have a problem back and forth with these fucking people. And I'm not even going to lie. Like, that's just what it is. Bro, date somebody in your own fucking age range. God damn it. Crazy.
Chase what they hate.
Are we certain that you're describing...
I mean, also, none of these guys are like married or dating. It's so fucking weird.
Women and not one of the villains from Scooby-Doo. And I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling alphas with their sure SM7Bs. Thank you.
They have a number of things they want, but generally I think the modern woman doesn't want to love. I think the modern woman wants to feel more than anything.
She doesn't
What the fuck does that even mean?
want to love. She wants to feel.
Feel what?
Because love isn't a feeling anymore, I guess. I like how they talk about women as if they're an entirely different species. Even Pearl, they act like they have women in glass cages that they've been studying.
Test subject 3008 is still maintaining the sleep schedule of an anxious barn owl. Subject constantly complains about recurring sharp pain in random parts of body, but would rather tempt death than drive to a doctor's office. Subject also continues to eat a bowl of birth control and milk every morning while reciting some sort of ritualistic chant.
I mean, virtually all women in the Western world now, under a certain age, are modern women to various degrees.
Under a certain age? What does that mean? What does under a certain age mean? Explain that to me.
Women are feminists. I guess he's explaining how women are feminists.
Some adopt it all wholesale, some are more resistant, but overall, it's influenced and permeated through society over the last few decades.
Did you say permeated? Are you making mead? Virtually all women in society are women in society to various degrees. And I tend to believe that women are kind of fermented in their spirits. And keeping this in mind as such.
Is this a filibuster?
Guys, no, come on. I hardly know her.
He's happier in his relationship when he's at 8 or 9.
Yeah, I attest to that.
What? That's against the statistic. What are you talking about? What? They're happier in their relationship when they've had 8 or 9 partners? I would really like to see the statistics that she's operating with. None of these are communicating that in any capacity. This is the statistic that I hear. Relationship between sexual history and marital satisfaction. A man with 6 to 10 partners are happier than they were with 5 partners, but they're less happier than they were with 1 partner or 2 or 3, equal to 4. For some reason, it dips at 5, but then 6 to 8 goes up a little bit, although I wish they would just do 6, 7, 8. I mean, if we're going purely based on how happy people report, shouldn't we advocate for 1, since this seems to be the happiest? I mean, that's your own logical statistic, but okay.
I think the more women I work with, the more I've worked out what it is I want and what I don't want. It left me in a
Same thing with women.
Position where I knew exactly what I wanted, what was completely non-negotiable.
So essentially you have a love life and it helps you understand what you like or don't like in bed, and eventually it helps you understand what you're looking for in a partner and leads to long-term happiness in a relationship.
It's called dating.
If you're a guy, sorry, did you think I was? No. If you're not a guy, you lose 25% of your value every time a dick passes you in the street.
Usually in a time of crisis, that's when our natural selves come out.
That's why when crisis
Like what? What crisis?
hits, women start to do household chores.
The other guy.
Well, they're probably referring to like if there's a survival, like if somebody breaks into your house, this is a crisis situation, and a man will tend to be, I guess, the one that'll defend. But let me tell you, my wife will pick up a fucking bat too. I guess that's what they're talking about. But we've mitigated a lot of crisis situations as people. You know, what's another crisis situation? Giving birth. Women really revert back to their archaic roles when they have a baby coming out of their pussy.
Guys face consequences for their decisions. Like that's the whole point. Is like, like
Okay.
men, when they make a bad decision, they always have a consequence. Women don't.
What? I don't even know how to extrapolate that. How do I even respond to that? Women don't face the consequences of their actions. But didn't you say that women that had sex with too many people are unfuckable and undateable? So isn't that a consequence? Isn't the consequence of their actions of having sex making them undateable? I can't. How do these two different worldviews that I believe collide? They don't fit together. Women have more sex, less valuable. Women, no consequence for actions, but consequence for sex equals less value. But women don't have consequence, so that means that women can have as much sex as possible, but not have consequence of being less valuable. How do these two things fit? They don't. What you're saying, you don't even believe. You don't even believe what you're saying. You don't even believe. It doesn't even align with your worldview. It doesn't even align with your worldview. That's incredible. That's some real thinking stuff.
This is also true. My period started yesterday, so I waged war on France. I just told them that my tummy hurt, and they forgave me.
And that's why women are worse, because one gender has consequences, one doesn't.
And that's why women are worse.
You're not supposed to say that part out loud, Pearl. You're supposed to at least pretend you're not a terrible person. You're not playing by the alpha rules. Well, sorry, I forgot. We have no consequences, so it doesn't, I guess the alpha rules don't apply to us.
Men, when they make a bad decision, they have the consequence immediately, where women don't.
So this has honestly been really freeing, guys. I
wonder if Pearl's ever met other people, because I just don't know how you have this worldview. Like, this is a very terminally online perspective.
All this time, I've been trying to be a good person and do nice things.
Hey, sorry I hit you. The stars weren't aligning in my favor.
For people, when I could have been doing whatever I
can kill black people consequence free. So
I'm gonna call it there, guys. Thank you for subscribing, and if you are still here, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you clicking on my video out of all the videos that are on here, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.
okay, that wasn't too bad. I'm not a big fan, just fundamentally not a big fan of the over editing, but I guess for me it would just be over editing. For you guys, probably enjoyed it a lot. But yeah, interesting video, not bad. Everyone, thank you so much for watching, and a special shout out to all my Patreon patrons, my YouTube members, and my Twitch subs. If you'd like to learn how you can contribute even more than you already are by simply watching the video, you can check the links down below, which will unlock a special feature depending on the platform that you subscribe to, such as Patreon here, that will get your name right here on this wall. Thank you so much, guys, again for watching, and have a good one.